Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the November 17th, 2021 ZBA meeting. Our next meeting is on December 29th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Here in the same room. And if everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then if you have the preamble.
I do, sir. We will proceed with the petitions in the order they are presented on the agenda unless the board deems it appropriate to take a petition out of order. State law and local ordinances set out the criteria that must be met in order for this board to grant a request. The minimum requirements are outlined on the form provided by the Community Development Office, and the petitioner should proceed with this format to provide adequate justification for the board to grant the request. The chair will then open the meeting to hear testimony either for or against the request. All discussion will be between the speaker and the board. Please be respectful of all, and in the interest of time, refrain from repeating previous testimony. No new documentation will be accepted by the board for consideration this evening, but the board reserves the right to ask for additional testimony at any time. After hearing the facts from all parties regarding the petition, the chairman will close the public hearing and the board will deliberate and vote on the request before moving on to the next petition. Please turn off all cell phones and pagers, and with those people who plan to testify, please stand to be sworn in.
All right. And if everyone looking to speak, you just raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right. Thank you. So tonight, Chuck, if you could sit in for Patrick. That brings us up to 4 voting members.
I would be glad to be considered a voting member this evening, but of course nobody could sit in.
Well, thank you very much. So before we get started, just so everyone here is aware, we are at 4 voting members for the night, which means a quorum or 3 members have to vote in favor of a petition order for it to pass. Should half of the board vote one way and the other half vote the other, the petition will fail. So I just have to disclose that ahead of time. If either of the petitioners are looking to continue to a future meeting like December, we can certainly consider that. However, that doesn't necessarily mean we'll have a full board at that point either, so just so you're all aware. So with that being said, first item is 260 DW Highway LLC, petitioner owner variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit construction of a materials storage building 22.3 feet from the rear property line, whereas 40 feet is required. Parcels located at 17 Smith Road in the I-1 Industrial and Aquifer Conservation Districts, tax map 3D-2, lot 09-02, case ZBA 2021-37.
Rich, you do have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're going to continue. Could you take our case out of order and then continue?
If you're looking to continue, all right, I'll go ahead and read your case in. So through process of elimination, that would be Robert A. Curry and Karen J. Curry, petitioners, owners, variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit the conversion of an existing single-family dwelling into a 2-family dwelling in the R1 residential district, whereas 2-family dwellings are not permitted, and to permit a 2-family dwelling post-conversion to remain approximately 30 feet from the property line, whereas 50 feet is required. The setback variance is only necessary if the variance to permit the 2-family dwelling is granted. Is this are there 2 variances wrapped up in this? Okay. Parcels located 4 County Road, formerly 2 County Road, in the R1 Residential by Map and Aquifer Conservation Districts, tax map 3A, lot 65, case ZBA 2021-39. Do I hear a motion to continue?
Motion to continue.
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Lynn, seconded by Ben. All in favor? All right. 4-0-0. It'll be continued to the December 29th meeting. All right. Thank you.
Back to where we were.
Yes. Back to agenda item number 3. I apologize for that brief interruption.
No problem. Mr. Chairman,
Is the computer working this evening, or should I use the
Hold
board
on,
to
just-
present?
Justin's coming out.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Chad Brannon. I'm a civil engineer with Fieldstone Land Consultants, and I'll be representing 260 DWH LLC, who is the petitioner and owner this evening. We are before you requesting a variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to permit a reduction to the rear setback on tax map parcel 3D2 9-2. As you had stated, Mr. Chairman, the property is located at 17 Smith Road. It is in the I-1 Industrial and Aquifer Conservation Districts, and the property consists of approximately 3.143 acres. It's currently occupied by L&W Supply, formerly known as Merrimack Building Supply. And I have an aerial image on the screen right now, and what I wanted to do is just kind of give everybody a snapshot of what the property currently looks like. So currently the property is occupied by L&W Building Supply. Again, that's located here on the north side of the property. This red heavy line kind of represents the approximate boundary of the parcel in question. The main entrance to the site is off of Smith Road. You have Citizens Bank on the other side of Smith Road here. Herrick Street is on the other side of Route 3. To the north of the property is another commercial site. To the south of the property is Horizon and Landscaping, which is the former McDonald's site quite some time ago. And then to the west is the F.E. Everett Turnpike, and this is the direction that we're requesting some relief to. So currently, this site is developed. Trucks will come into this main entrance and get loaded, or they'll deliver supply. And this is really a loading and offloading area. And then this is an outdoor storage area with truck traffic kind of wrapping around that storage area and then exiting the property. So we've worked with the owner on ways to utilize this property and make improvements to this property for years now. And really the situation for this site has been, how can we make some kind of an improvement to address the need of a growing local business and to try to keep that business at this site and hopefully in town. And so in working through their operations and trying to figure out the best way to work with the truck traffic and a lot of the site constraints, we've come up with a proposal to construct a building on the back side of the site. That's shown in this yellow hatched area here, just to give you kind of a location of where that's proposed. The topography on this site goes up in it's basically flat from Smith Road, slightly elevated from Smith Road, and then pretty flat gravel parking area here. And then in the back where we're proposing this building, there is a slope that goes up to the highway. It's about 20 feet of elevation through here. So we're proposing that this building be constructed, at the parking lot grade, kind of be built into the slope a little bit, and would really fit in well and allow for truck traffic to continue around the building and then in front of the building, around the back of the existing building, and then coming in front of this new building here. So I'm just going to switch to the zoning exhibit plan that we had submitted with the.
Are you talking about driveway around the building?
Not around the proposed building.
Okay.
And that's, I think
No, I'm
this,
talking about the existing building.
there is driveway already around the existing building.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we're looking to maintain that, and that's why I wanted to bring this up,
Okay.
because it shows it a little bit better. So this red building here is the existing L&W Supply building, offices in the front, and then this is their big warehouse area here. So there's currently a travel way around the building, And we really have to position any new building on the site appropriately where traffic, especially truck traffic, can come around and still travel around the site. That's part of the reason that we're requesting this variance, is because we need to push that building back some. Other improvements on this site will consist of reconfiguring the outside storage area, making parking improvements. We're maintaining all the landscaping along the highway, and then there'll be drainage and all kinds of other site plan improvements, but just wanted to touch on that really quickly. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to go through the criteria if it makes sense at this point, or answer any questions that the board may have based on that kind of outline presentation.
Seems pretty cut and dry, actually.
Okay.
And it's obviously nice that it's positioned, abutting the highway where it's not like it's gonna be encroaching on someone's personal property, so that's always a plus.
Sure, absolutely.
So, absolutely, if you wanna go ahead and step through the criteria.
Sure.
And we'll, as long as I can figure out which piece of paper I have in front of me, follow right along.
Sure, so again, we're requesting a variance of the rear setback. 40 feet is required, and we're requesting at the closest point, which is the northern point of the proposed building. This location here is 22.3 feet. This southern corner is 30.7 feet away, so not as much of a request on that lower section. So the first criteria, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because we stated in the application that granting this variance would allow for the productive use of the existing property. As I stated, the rear of the property abuts the F.E. Everett Turnpike. The proposed building will not be visible from the turnpike, as the subject property is about 20 feet lower in elevation. There still would be about a 70-foot wooded buffer between the traveled way and the limited clearing that's proposed for this project. The uses proposed are permitted within the underlying zoning district and will be consistent with the surroundings. The proposal will allow a growing business to remain in town and grow responsibly in the same location. The area on site could be regraded to increase the outdoor storage, but we feel this is the most efficient use of the property and will also provide much needed additional indoor storage for the business on site. This will allow the access around the existing building to line up with the access in front of the proposed storage building, resulting in improved traffic movement and operations on site. This proposal will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood or threaten the health, safety, or general welfare of the public, and therefore we do not believe that this proposal will be contrary to the public interest. Not contrary to the public interest, excuse me. And based on this, we are requesting that the board view this proposal favorably and consistent with the ordinance. Would you like me to move on to number 2, or, okay?
Yes, please.
Number 2, the spirit of the ordinance is observed because this project consists of redeveloping an existing parcel in town, which again will substantially improve the existing conditions of the site, the aesthetics of the site, and we think will be an improvement to the surroundings as well. The use proposed for the property is permitted again in the underlying zoning and will be in harmony with the neighborhood. We believe the intent of this ordinance is to provide adequate buffering and separation between landowners and uses. And since this property abuts the highway to the rear and that there is a substantial elevation between the highway and this site, we think the spirit and intent of the ordinance will be maintained and observed because there will be adequate buffering still from this site to other adjacent users. The proposal will provide this while observing the spirit of the ordinance, as it will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood or threaten the health, safety, or general welfare of the public. Number 3, Granting the variance would do substantial justice because granting this variance would essentially allow a growing business to remain in town. It would result in the productive use of the property. It's, this site has been used and by the community for a number of years. It was Merrimack Building Supply, now L&W Supply, but it's certainly a need. These improvements will address a local demand for building materials and will result in local investment and improvement over the subject property. This variance will allow the storage building to be situated in a location that will improve traffic flow on site and ultimately improve business operations. Granting this variance would do substantial justice because it would allow for the productive use of the property while providing reasonable growth in the community. We believe a denial of this variance would be an injustice to our client, as there would be no apparent gain to the general public.
Before we continue, does anyone on the board have any questions about this?
Fire has no problem with your plan?
We have not received any feedback
Okay.
indicating the contrary.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Number 4, granting the variance would not diminish the values of subject properties because, and I'll just summarize that paragraph. Generally speaking, investment and development has positive impacts on, redevelopment has positive impacts on surrounding property values, and we believe the totality of this improvement, not only the building construction, but the site improvements and drainage improvements and landscaping and so on will be an improvement to the neighborhood and will ultimately result in positive impacts to property values. So certainly will not be a detriment to neighboring property values. Number 5, unnecessary hardship. Owing to the following special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, explain how no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property. Section 3.02 of the Merrimack zoning ordinance requires that a 40-foot rear yard setback be provided. We believe the intent of that ordinance is to provide adequate separation and buffering between landowners and uses. Not necessarily applicable in this case where we back up to a highway. So since the property to the rear of the site is a highway, the new building will not impede in any buffer areas to an adjacent use or be an obstruction or hindrance to any abutting property. For this reason, there should be no requirement for separation or buffering. The location of the building takes advantage of the existing topography and the access ways to allow traffic to flow unchanged from existing conditions. The location of the storage building will have no negative impact on the general public. Based on these conditions, we do not believe that a fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property. We also believe that the property does have special conditions, as the property is situated along the highway system, is developed with an existing building which has limited expansion options because of its positioning and where the existing entrance is and a lot of the existing improvements are. And the property does have topographic constraints along the rear boundary line. So we're trying to accommodate for all of these conditions and provided the best design to improve the traffic safety, visual aesthetics, and operations on site. Part B, the proposed use is a reasonable one because this project consists of partially redeveloping an existing parcel in town, which will substantially improve the property, the aesthetics of the property, and we believe the surroundings. The use proposed for the property is again permitted in the underlying zoning and will be consistent with the surroundings. Currently, the area is an existing gravel storage area, which is somewhat cluttered with materials, and there is a lack of space to address storage needs for an existing growing business. And constructing this new building which will be situated away from the front boundary, thereby maximizing the separation to Daniel Webster Highway or Smith Road, will maximize the separation to the front and really create a design that is consistent with the existing special conditions and natural constraints of the property, while addressing, very much a need for a local business to grow and stay in town. We believe that this proposal meets the spirit and intent of the ordinance, and for this reason, we believe the proposed use is reasonable.
All right, I think that definitely satisfies the unnecessary hardship. Because you're right, it's, the purpose of the setback is to create a buffer between neighboring properties, and in this case, the neighboring property is the highway.
The cars driving by don't care.
Right. And we certainly can't take a poll as they're driving by to ask their opinion, so it makes sense. I guess with that being said, does anyone here have any questions regarding this? All right, so I'll go ahead and open this to the public for formality. If there's anyone looking to speak in favor or against this petition, please,
Step forward.
I can't finish the sentence, there's nobody here. I'll close the public portion. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion, in favor of 260.
Ben's your mic on?
Variance.
Is your mic on, Ben?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion for 260 DWH LLC petitioner owner variance under section 3.02 of the zoning ordinance to make construction of a materials storage building 22.3 feet from the rear property line, whereas 40 feet is required. The parcel is located at 17 Smith Road in the I-1 Industrial and Aquifer Conservation Districts. Tax map 3D-2 lot 009-2, case number ZBA 2021-37. This item is continued from October 27th, 2021 ZBA meeting.
And that was a motion in favor?
Yes.
Okay. And there's also some
Subject to.
subject to staff recommendations.
Okay, I didn't see that. All right, subject to staff recommendations.
Okay.
And the criteria based on
Other criteria for the recommendations is
specific,
petitioner shall obtain site plan approval from the planning board for the proposed storage building and related site improvements.
Yeah, okay.
but it's based on specific regulations to the site. Don't we need a reason for this, Casey? No, okay, never mind.
To grant it?
Nope, never mind. I'll second.
Okay. Motion made by Ben, seconded by Lynn. All in favor? All right, 400.
Thank you
Motion
very much
passes.
for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, there is a 30-day window where someone could appeal this.
Sure.
Probably not going to happen, but just so you're aware.
Thank
You
you.
never know.
Well, how many times have we dealt with appeals like that? I don't think I've seen one yet.
You never know.
Won't change it.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, thank you very much. I do have a question for the board regarding the approval of minutes. There was a reason why we were approving the September minutes this month. There was something that Patrick called out.
Mhm.
I just don't remember what it was.
But it got corrected.
It did?
Yep.
Okay,
So the minutes as presented, I move we approve.
all right. Motion made to approve minutes for September 29th, 2021, and Wednesday, October 27th, 2021. All in favor? Oppose? Abstain? Okay, so 301. on both sets of minutes.
Who seconded that motion?
Ben?
Oh, thank you.
We'll go with Ben.
Yeah, I second it.
Better cover yourself here.
And who abstained that? Was that Chuck?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, do we have any other,
Will we approve, adjourn?
do we have any other discussion items?
Yes, we need more people.
We do. We definitely,
And if you look at tonight's meeting, we only had 4 of us here, and so one of the petitioners opted to continue to next month. And I don't think this is fair to the petitioners to come in here with less than a full board when they're making arrangements to come here. We need people in the community to step up. This is 1 meeting a month, folks. That's all it is. Community development is very, very helpful as far as explaining what you need to look at. What you need to look at, what you need to consider, and they'll advise and help you in going through it. And you sit here and, I'm not a rocket scientist, but with community development's help, anyone can do this. And we need people that are not Chuck and Ben's and my age to step up here and come to 1 meeting a month. We really do. People, please consider this. I'll get off my soapbox.
no, I think that's an incredible point, is that it makes it really hard for the few members that are here when we're as understaffed, if you will.
It's hard for petitioners to ask people in the industry that are coming forward to make time in their schedule to come here to a meeting, only to see that there aren't enough people in town that care enough about this to sit here to make a decision. I don't think it's fair to them. Chuck's got.
I'm probably older than the 3 of you. In any event, I stepped forward because my disposition has always been to participate. And I'm very busy. I have many different civic participations. And therefore, I understand the problem is townwide about getting people to participate in their own self-government. And it's also difficult to convey the importance of that. I applaud Lynn for at least having pushed me to temporarily fill the gap here on an alternate basis. And I echo her cry for people to step forward, step up. These are extremely responsible opportunities for people to participate in their own community vision. However small it may seem to some people, collectively, when we all participate, we make a tremendous community. And the community is changing, it's getting more busy, and we're all crying for younger people. Please, please, the next generation of leadership, step forward, please, and begin to get involved.
Well said.
Now I'll move we adjourn.
Motion made by Lynn. Anyone seconding? Seconded by Ben. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Have a good evening, everyone.